and welcome to Knit in the Network, a show in which we interview activists and people concerned with social justice issues to learn about their experiences and points of view. Today I'll be interviewing Joey Lee, who has worked extensively in the digital field of food activism and is now the digital manager at the Center for Food Safety. Let's listen to her introduce herself.
So as it relates to advocacy, my parents are actually peace activists. So they have a lot of fun stories about protesting the Vietnam War and getting arrested, and things like that. So I have always, sort of had that in my blood. So I was raised in a very liberal, one of the most liberal cities in the United States, around a community of activists. So I have a lot of passion, for cooking with kids, and I think it's a great way to teach kids math and science and nutrition and working together and like completing a project. So yeah, I feel like my background is very, what I do now makes a lot of sense given my background.
Did you think when you were a kid, did you think that you'd end up working in this line of work?
No, I didn't, because when I was a kid, I think I was a theater kid, so I think I mostly thought I would go into acting, but I don't think I really realistically thought that it would happen. But I graduated college in 2008, and the recession really hit in August of 2008. So I graduated right when the recession happened. My first job, which if it hadn't been such a good fit for my skill set and my background, I don't think I would have turned it into the career launching point that it became for me. But I was very fortunate to get it. My friend from college found out that she was adopted when she was 20. Wow. Her birth mother turned out to run one of New York's best staffing agencies. I met her birth mother and had dinner with them. So when I was desperate even for temping, I Googled New York City temping and saw my friend's birth mother's agency pop up. And I thought, I already know the founder of that agency. And what ended up happening is I became the recipe editor, and I needed website content for meatlessmonday.com, and that's what I was really interested in. I really loved setting up great web content, but my boss wanted me to do more outreach for the campaign. So I sort of combined the thing that I knew we needed that I was interested in and the thing that she wanted me to do, and I did a lot of outreach to Meatless Monday bloggers, to food bloggers with really good recipes and really good high quality images. But I focused on recipe bloggers with really good recipes that were original and with original photography. And then I asked them to, tag Meatless Monday in their social media posts and link back to the website to increase, meatlessmonday.com's SEO and all that. And that was and then we would also cross-promote their blog, and I created a bloggers on board page. So they did Meatless Monday posts every Monday to raise awareness for the campaign. And then we also, because we were a nonprofit, we were a public health initiative, they were happy to let us repurpose their content on our website. So I did that hundreds of times for a year.
So cool.
Yeah, it was great, and I really loved, the food aspect. I really loved the eating seasonally aspect and making the website look like different seasons depending on what recipe we were featuring. So I found that people really wanted meatless holiday recipes because there aren't that many of those, or they wanted something to bring to a potluck. So I did that, and then a year and a half into that job, I was tasked with creating a New Monday campaign. And although Meatless Monday is the most well-known of the campaigns, the public health initiatives are actually, they have noticed basically that people start the week and see Monday as the day to commit or recommit to their healthy behaviors. Right. So if you look at Google search results, there's a spike for healthy recipes or quitting smoking tips. It's like across the board because people might feel guilty about indulging over the weekend, and as the week begins, they want to get it off to a good start. Our founder tasked me with creating the Kids Cook Monday campaign, encouraging families to cook and eat together every week, because cooking with kids, studies have shown it helps them in school. It helps, having family dinners helps parents stay in sort of connect with their kids and find out what's going on with them and all this stuff. So I expanded the outreach model created for Meatless Monday and included like educators and after school programs and camps and different organizations that would like to cook with kids. And then I also did a Kids Cook Monday recipe of the week, but I found that parents really wanted the steps broken down. They wanted to feel like, can my kid do this? I want to know what tasks are appropriate for what age group. Mm-hmm. So I broke the tasks down into kid, adult, and together tasks. And then I found that a lot of media sources were interested in featuring those recipes because they really valued that step of it to break the steps down. So with Meatless Monday, when we would pitch it to media, they would say, oh, great, we'll just feature one of our Meatless Monday recipes every week. They had a ton of Meatless Monday recipes. But for Kids Cook Monday, they wanted the literal recipes I was featuring on the website. So grandparents.com was a really great partner. Sent it to
that's cute.
75,000. Yeah, grandparents are a great fit for that because they have time too. Yeah, they might not be working and they want to spend with their kids.
Basically, the recipes that you're talking about, they were like some steps were set up to be like for children and some steps were for adults. That's a great idea. And that's so cool.
Yeah, some work together too. So yeah, it was a really, that was really great. Eventually we made a kids cooking curriculum. Eventually some supermarkets started doing Kids Cook Monday programs and camps and things like that. So I worked for 5 years as the recipe editor and partnership manager for the Monday campaigns. So yeah, that was my first foray into the advocacy world. And then I got even more involved. I became the online community manager at the Center for Science and the Public Interest, which actually, if you look at the food in the U.S., you see a nutrition panel on the back with how much, fiber and protein everything has. And CSPI actually pushed for that in the first place. There's a reason that we have nutrition information.
Really?
So that was, yeah. So, so I was also in charge of our, at the time, our activist and advocacy list. So those are email addresses of different people who have signed up to be part of CSPI's nutrition advocacy community, which sends them alerts either targeting someone in Congress or the CEOs of different companies, urging them to do different things. So then that was even more advocacy based, and the audience was a little bit less mainstream. I feel like Monday campaigns tried to get as many people as possible, tried to reach the everyman, every woman. That was really great. It was definitely a different crowd. There were a lot of dietitians there, and it's also very science-based. So I was breaking up a lot of fights about nutrition, and nutrition is there's a lot of misinformation about nutrition out there. So I was there for about 2.5 years. And now I've just started my new role as the digital manager for the Center for Food Safety. And actually the Center for Food Safety does a lot of environmental work in the food movement. And I am finding there's less misinformation about environmental food issues than there was about nutrition issues. There are just so many bloggers out there who don't have like a basis in nutrition, who are trying to sell their products and sell their snake oil. I just started this job a month ago, and this job is not directly managing social media accounts. That is another staffer who I work with, but our advocacy list is even larger. So I am writing a lot of emails. It's more focused on government officials and less on corporate campaigns, but we might do more corporate campaigns now that I'm here and I have more experience. And it's sort of funny. The government is such right now in the U.S. that it's easier to get companies to commit to things right now than to get the government to regulate something.
Yeah. I can imagine that. From what I've heard, it just seems like it seems very difficult for people who want to make a change in the government level.
Yeah, we even I knew someone who was brought on to CSPI to work for banning synthetic food dyes when we thought Hillary Clinton was going to be president. And they changed their strategy with that into, focused on corporate campaigns instead of government-focused ones, just because that goal is not going to be attained while Donald Trump is in office, is scrambling, to get him from causing more damage. We can't make progress on other things right now. So it's hard to feel like I'm a defender of our country.
You mentioned how in the end you prepared this. It was a book, right, with the different recipes for like one parent or a whole family or a full kitchen.
Yeah.
It's so cool. Like, I think the fact that you're taking into consideration that there are many different types of families in many different types of situations. And
yeah. Interesting. The thing about children's health is that it is actually a bipartisan issue. I worked with this woman who did a Kids Cook Monday exhibit at the Children's Museum of Houston. And she was so excellent. She worked for this company called Playnormous. And she doesn't work there anymore. And, I got along with her really well. She was a really awesome mom entrepreneur. She knew everybody. She was so well connected. She was so organized. She was so nice. She was such a good writer. And we were friends, so we became Facebook friends. And then I saw she listed her views as very conservative on Facebook. And I'm from Berkeley. I didn't meet my first Republican until I got to college, where there were only 7 Republicans total, because my college was so liberal too. So I was just shocked. But actually, assuming, the right wing isn't demonizing school lunch programs or nutrition or something like that, which they have done before, both parties want the next generation of kids to be healthy. And, school food policy matters so much, because for some kids, for, the kids with the least resources, it matters the nutrition quality of their meals, because this is their main definite meals that they're getting every day.
The fact that you mentioned that it's a bipartisan issue, but the one that you're working at, like the Center for Food Safety, and I think you mentioned it's called the Sustainable Food. So I imagine that this is maybe not so bipartisan.
It's progressive, and that you're always fighting against big ag. There's something called greenwashing, and health washing is also a thing, which is big food companies branding something to make it look like it was produced in a really, ethical, sustainable, organic, just way, like how the word natural means nothing. There's no standard for natural. A lot of people assume if something says natural on it, or they just see that and it just links something in their brain to think, to associate it with, organic or sustainable food production. And it doesn't. It's just a labeling packaging trick. So both CSPI and CFS are very committed to transparency in terms of labeling.
Mm-hmm. I like this phrase, transparency.
Yeah.
It's so weird. Like they care about the health of the people, or I guess they just care about sales.
Yeah, they care about sales and they care about their appearing that they care about the health of the people.
Right.
And it gets complicated because a lot of the smaller brands that maybe use chick care or be more local have been bought up by larger corporations, just like in every area.
Yeah. Since you've sort of had different focuses in the different areas that you've worked in, where have you found the most resistance?
Definitely. So I definitely had an experience where we launched a campaign. Sometimes several of the corporate watchdog groups, will get together to do a campaign and get as many signatures from their different lists of activists as they can, and then sort of join forces and turn them in together in some sort of media stunt, sort of to make the most of our collective networks. And we were urging KFC to commit to not serving, to only serve chicken raised without medically important antibiotics. And KFC is the largest purchaser of chicken. It purchases more chicken than any other company in the U.S. The only purchaser of chicken that purchases more chicken than KFC is the Army. So it would create a whole new market if they made that commitment. Spoiler alert, they did make that commitment. So, yeah. Good for them. So we got together with different groups and launched the KFC Save ABX campaign. I put the petition that CSPI did, I put it on change.org. We got 130,000 signatures, and then we also sent it to people from CSPI's list. We got another 17,000 signatures. And the other groups all got around 100,000 signatures.
Wow.
So then we did a tweet chat to raise awareness for it, and Big Ag crashed the tweet chat. So the companies we were on a call during this tweet chat, and we had, we had questions ready, we all had answers ready, we had resources. So when the Big Ag groups came in, I don't even remember specifically which handles they were. They basically tried to muddy the arguments and would bring up points that were only tangentially related, just to intentionally confuse how important it is to not waste all of our antibiotics that are medically important for humans on animals who aren't even necessarily sick, to cover up for the fact that they're housed too close together and they're in bad conditions. So luckily all the were on the conference call when this happened. So basically we just elevated each other's answers so that they would be the top tweets that were seen by the most people. So then we had all the groups just retweeting each other's answers, and we were able to drown out the misinformation that the agriculture groups were doing.
Wow.
So Big Ag can be very aggressive with that sort of thing. And and we did it. We went down to Kentucky, I think. The NRDC has a chicken figure named Anti-Biotic that they have someone dressed as a chicken named antibiotic to turn in the signatures. And
but it's actually like KFC is actually in Kentucky.
Yeah, I think KFC is in Kentucky. Yeah, they didn't go. Sometimes the corporate headquarters will be sort of secluded, so you can't really do a media stunt. So I think they went to like a really public KFC right by it. And then they had boxes that represented all the signatures we had, and like, look how many people want you to, stop, serving chicken raised with medically important antibiotics. Please commit to doing this. And I think the thing is that I had stopped working at CSPI when they actually made the commitment, like when it succeeded, and no one told me, but I found out by myself, and I was like, this is the most, this is probably the thing that I've done in my life that's made the greatest impact in terms of it creates a new market for for chicken raised without medically important antibiotics. Like that's huge, and that's a really important issue that I feel like people understand, which is great.
That's it for today. Next month, we'll have the second half of Joey's interview, where she talks to us about her experiences obtaining funding, email marketing, and gives us concrete tips for managing digital campaigns. I hope you give it a listen. I want to thank Joey for participating in this interview. This is a project done in collaboration with the National Network Opposing the Militarization of Youth. Please follow the Need in the Network YouTube channel for more interviews and video essays on the topic of cultural militarization and activism. My name is Selene, and I'll see you next time.